Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, welcome to another NSA Jimmy Jam Zoom webinar breakout. Come on. I don't know if it's a breakout. We just doing what we do. We're jamming, we're hanging, we're zooming, we're fanning, we're going crazy, we're waving our hands and I don't know. I'm trying to freestyle it. Oh, yeah. Listen, this is Zoom Deep Dives just for NSA. This is Robert Kennedy III, RK3. That's me in the house with my friend, my frizzy friend, Marquessa Petway. And hold on, what's going on here?
That's me. I stole the screen.
You know what? You stole my screen. Let me go back to me. Let me go back to me, please. Okay. Oh my gosh, you're sharing. That's what you're doing.
How dare I share content?
Ah, my goodness. All right. So we've had a couple of nice sessions here. We had a session last week on NSA, and we were sharing the basics of Zoom. And I hope everybody got some value from that. But I just want to, before we dive into today, I just want to introduce my fabulous friend and host of this session today. Marquessa is living in the epicenter, y'all. We're here. We're doing some of this stuff because of COVID-19, of the coronavirus, everything that's happening, quarantine, everything that's happening right now. And we're doing some of these things just to really provide some information for NSAers like yourselves so that you can help create awesome Zoom virtual experiences for your clients. We know that some of you are postponing, canceling events in person, and we want to make sure that you are equipped so that when your clients come calling and say, hey, can you do this virtually for us, so that you can look like a boss when you do it. And Marquessa is the queen of helping you Zoom like a boss. So I just want to introduce her really quickly. She's the chair of Black NSA. She's a speakerpreneur creator. She helps speak virtually. She actually speaks virtually quite a bit, and she helps people make money doing that. And as you can imagine, because of what we're doing right now, she is quite busy these days, but she's making time for her peeps, her beloved NSA. Come on, people, let's welcome Marquessa Petway.
Thank you, Robert. I know, right? I stole your screen, so you can't have the sound effects. At least for a second. Don't worry, I'll give it back to you. Hello, NSA. How you doing out there? Oh my gosh, Robert. Everybody is there. Literally. I just saw Beyonce showed up in the chat room. Seriously.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, that is so cool. We got Alan, Andrea, Ann, all these folks. Craig,
oh, yeah.
Gail, Dick, whoa, like Julie. Guys, we love you, and we're pumped today.
David Diamond, what's going on? Right? Dave Caperton, woo, Jennifer, love it.
I know. I love it. Marco, hello, Marco, pool guy.
Yeah.
Scott Friedman, whoa, Russ, what is up? Sherry, I mean, we can go on and on. It take forever to go through.
We can. So let me go for three more. Michelle Mazer, I just want to call three more names. Roy Davis, what's happening? Sarah Michelle, hey, Cheryl Roush, ooh, yeah. Sporty King, Simadal.
Marilyn Sherman.
I love saying Simadal's name. I love it.
We got New York folks in the house. Michelle,
Steve Sanders. Yeah. Awesome.
Scott Lesnick. Hey. Okay, good. So, yes, as you said before, I am in New York City, and we want to reduce those numbers, right, Robert?
Yeah, we do.
But you know what's keeping me excited and pumped is Zoom. It really is, guys. I'm telling, and I'm going to say this, and I mean it. If Zoom was a man, I would be married.
Oh boy. Let's move to slide 3, please. No.
I would. It's amazing. And today, guys, is extra special. We're going to help you Zoom like a boss, right? Robert, he's, oh, Robert, I forgot to introduce you. How rude of me, right?
That's okay.
Okay.
You were dancing.
Robert,
you were dancing.
Also known as RK3, professional speaker, co-chair of Black NSA. Oh my, he does it all. He's like an MC, producer, friend, the only person I think in all of NSA that can tolerate me no matter what. and
you pay me.
Dynamic
That's what it is.
Leadership, got a killer podcast. Check it out. One of the best I've ever heard, because everybody got a podcast, but I really, really like Robert's. And Robert, you're just a dear friend, and I appreciate you so much.
Thank you.
You are awesome. And see, I appreciate the chilling. So I want to say what Zoom Like a Boss means. It means leveraging the Zoom platform in your business, resulting in impactful meetings and presentations. Now, I'm not going to go through why you should listen to me, but I will tell you one thing on this slide. I've done a lot of virtual events, and I've seen a lot of virtual events. Now, I speak on the stage just like y'all, and so does Robert. We do our thing, but we realize that this is another way for us to still connect to the people we want to transform, right? And right now, this is the only way to connect, but you can do it in different ways. I can appreciate the microphones and all of this stuff. And we know at the end of the day, it comes down to the content. But it's not about sitting in front of your computer and just talking. It's about delivering an experience. And what I love today, Robert, is this is the best way to deliver an experience. And it's called the Zoom webinar.
Awesome.
Yes, not meeting. Meeting is next week. We're going to actually see each other next week. But today it's all about the webinar. And in case some of you guys are on the line and you do not have NSA's version of Zoom, you may want to get it after today, right? Because, and listen to me, I'm not a mathematician, but what is 15 plus 40, Robert? 15 plus 40?
55.
55. See, that's what you're going to pay, or you can pay $30 a month to NSA. And I'm thinking, I'd rather do the 30 because of the Zoom webinar. And you're going to be shocked. I mean, there's so many things you can do with Zoom webinar, but this is sort of the opportunity for you to have a stage. I love meetings. It's hot. We're going to talk about the differences between meetings and webinars, which is the #1 question. But before I move there, go to nsaspeaker.org/Zoom and sign up for NSA. Okay, you may see some things when I go into my back end, my Zoom dashboard, that you do not see in your own account. And that may be because you do not have an enterprise plan. So I want to bring that up to you. If you're lost or confused, call NSA. They're always there. Lisa says, my plan is to register for it after the meeting. Yes, Lisa. Very good. All right. So first things first, Robert, I was talking to a wonderful dear, and I'm not going to say who it is, NSA member the other day, helping her out. She was helping me out. I was helping her out. And she was shocked to find out that she does not have webinar. So that is a big deal. I think some of you think you have webinar and you do not. So can you just put in the chat room, do you have webinar? If you really don't know if you have it, just say don't know. Do you know for sure you got webinar, Zoom webinar in your account? Here's a hint, Robert. If you're paying $15 to Zoom, you do not have Zoom webinar. You do not. I'm sorry, unless you and Zoom got a relationship or something. You do not have it. And also, some of you, I think, went and purchased business, and I say business, and that does not come with webinar. So again, the only thing that comes with webinar is if you pay Zoom an extra $40 on top of $15 a month, or you go over to NSA. So I just want to first things first, because that was a little tough. Here's another thing. Has anyone had to deal with some Zoom bombings?
So before you get there, just to clarify for those people in the chat, I know you said it just now, but some people are asking, they said they do have NSA. They're not sure if they have webinar. If you have Zoom through NSA, you do absolutely have webinar. No question, ifs, ands, buts, or about it. You do. Okay, so if you have NSA's version of Zoom, you got webinar.
Look at Tony. Hey, Tony. He says, yep, it comes with it. And you kind of got to go in there and set it up. So we'll get to that part, but it comes with it. You have it, because I do see messages coming through.
Yes.
Here's another thing. Has anyone been Zoom bombed? It hasn't happened to me, Robert.
Linda Fogg has.
Really?
Linda Fogg said, yes, I've had Zoom bombers and trolls.
Well, guess what? And this is from your Zoom Queen's mind. So, And I've done some research, and I got some connections at Zoom. So I'm talking to some people, and I'm praying that we do not get Zoom bumped. But here's one of the advantages of preventing Zoom bombs. We came up with a couple of options. One of them is use webinars for most of your meetings if you can, because again, we'll show you how to manage your participants a little bit later. But use Zoom webinar. It's the same thing. You're good. If you're meeting with a client or you're meeting with 2 people, you can still send them a link to a Zoom webinar. And it's almost like a meeting, and it's less of a chance that you will have a bombing. So that's one of the things. Create a Zoom bombing plan. Robert, tell them what I mean by that when we say Zoom bombing plan.
So your Zoom, maybe physically and literally writing out what you need to do, getting your settings in the dashboard set so that you can prevent some of those things. And you're going to go through that in just a little bit, ain't you?
Yeah, but it was something else that I came up with that they do in schools. Because remember, your father, you're a parent. You said, yeah, what is that?
Yeah, that's kind of like the active shooter drills.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
So in other words, this was my idea. Robert's like, I don't remember.
Yeah. Sorry.
Whistle. You know what a whistle is? Whistle. Yeah. Okay, get a whistle. Get a whistle, right? Literally, I'm going to do this. I'm going to get a whistle. I'm going to keep it on my desktop. If I get in front, say I'm with my clients, because I'm on Zoom, I live on Zoom, I can have multiple meetings a week. I'm going to say, hey guys, our goal, we've done everything we can in that Zoom bomb, but technology is technology. Here's the deal. If some crazy person comes on, I'm going to blow my whistle. Y'all going to drop off and then come back. You hear me? What do you guys think? Tell me in chat if I'm nuts, or will you do that? See if that works. So literally a safety plan, because again, I've never experienced it, but I heard it's terrible and it could just be difficult. So coach all your folks. I mean, I do Zooms with hundreds of people, and I would just coach them. Hey, stuff happens. We set up all the security features, but if it happens, then drop. That means drop off the Zoom and come right back in. So thank you, Marquita. She said it's a great plan. Somebody did ask, what is a Zoom bomb? It's when someone shows up and they do really terrible things. I've never experienced it, but I've heard some things. So we'll leave it at that, right? So I'm not really sure what it is, but it's not good. All right, so the next thing is this you? I'm just wondering, tell me in the chat room if it is. I like Zoom, but I'm not sure where to start, so I never do. It's okay. And by the way, guys, if you can reply to all, that way we can all read it, that would be fabulous. I like Zoom, but I'm not sure where to start, so I never do. Is that anybody's problem on here? I'm just curious. We're family. We're transparent. No judgment here. Right, Robert?
No judgment.
No judgment. That's right. Okay, good. Oh, and Lorna says, you mean just end the call and have everyone come back? Well, no, you're educating them that may happen. And if they hear the whistle, they know to drop. That means get off the call and then come back. That's the plan. Just
to be clear with that, though, that unless you are using your personal meeting ID or your personalized URL, you can come back into the same meeting. That is correct.
Yes, you can.
That's right.
Hello, you can come back into the same webinar. Yes, you can. Yes, you can.
Don't worry, Julie Brown. We're about to go over that with you right now.
Absolutely. So then here's the question, guys. Here's the deal. Do you know the difference between a Zoom meeting and a Zoom webinar? Do you sometimes sit up there and go, well, I don't know. Or when you go in there to set it up, do you say, well, should I? Because it should be a strategic decision. Do you know the difference between a Zoom? So guys, yeses or nos, before I go to the screen, do you clear? I don't mean you know where it is, like it says Zoom webinar, Zoom meeting, but in your mind, do you know the difference? Thank you. Got you. So
Sporty says, thought I did until you asked.
That's why you're here, because you're going to find out that it's certainly a difference. So again, this is a snapshot of a meeting. You know, I had to put it in my New York picture here. So I wanted to take you back to school, right? Zoom meeting, which we'll talk about next week. So I need you guys to all show up and we're going to see each other's faces, which I love. You know, we're quarantined, so I need faces. So anyway, Zoom meeting is your virtual classroom. That's the best way to think of it.
Yeah.
And so some of the quick, and again, we're going to cover Zoom meeting next week. So this is just the quick and dirty. It's an interactive virtual stage. You got breakout rooms, you got waiting room, you got a customized meeting link, you got PayPal integration. I know some of y'all, what? Can I just give you a little tip? Because I've heard this over and over again. If you use NSA Zoom, you can't use PayPal integration. Now, if you're one of those people, I don't understand that because I use Kajabi and all my payments go through one shopping cart, but that's just my opinion to the side. If you really want to use PayPal integration, guys, you can only use this according to Zoom. You can only use it with Zoom meetings. So it may be worth you getting an additional $15 account. Okay. So, because technically, again, what's 15 plus 30?
You asking me to add again? 45.
No. Yeah, huh?
45.
So it's the same. So if you're feeling like no more quests, I really want it. Anybody on here really need to do that? Yeah. Learn to sit. So don't worry about that because NSA has nothing to do with it. It's an enterprise account. And an enterprise or education level type of Zoom account, you cannot put PayPal in there. You can if you want, but the money will go to NSA. So okay, so your choice. So just get another $15 account and add the PayPal integration. But again, that's next week, and file transfer. Now, let's talk about making Zoom your stage. This is what we're talking about. Okay, so Zoom webinar, your virtual stage, which means one-to-many, is an end-to-end virtual solution. I'm going to go into that in the upcoming slide, so hold tight. Guess what? Robert loves this part. Robert, say it. What's B? He loves it.
Say that again.
See,
B on hold. On hold.
What
yeah.
is that in? What is that in Zoom meeting language?
In Zoom meeting language, it's the same as the waiting room. Enabling the waiting room. When you're in webinar, there's the on hold version. You could put a panelist out in the hallway for a second, not because they're on punishment or anything, but you know, and then you can bring them back later.
There you go. There you go. I love the waiting room. I mean, hey, guys, we're not just speakers, but we're like doctors. You know, we're experts. And sometimes you need, like, remember, what did I say earlier? Look at your Zoom webinar. Use that more often. I'm telling you, after this particular Zoom lesson, you're going to want to do it. But on hold is a setting, and we're going to show that to you in a bit, is a setting you can do in the webinar world. Here's something else I like, Robert. Designated Q&A section. Because why do I like that? If I have a lot of folks on the line, like right now we have a little less than 100 of you guys here. When you have a lot of folks on the line, it's difficult to kind of watch the chat room if you're doing your presentation. And you may not always have a Robert. I don't always have a Robert. Robert, do I always have a Robert?
I don't know. You tell me. How many do you know?
I know, exactly. You're only one, and you know, I tried. Robert, no more questions. I don't have time. So sometimes I can get him here. And then I have my own team, but again, it's not always necessary to have someone else. So I don't want to send that message, but there's a designated Q&A section and I love it. This is the best part about it. Zoom saves it in your recordings. So if you cannot answer every question, which I've learned the hard way, you can't answer every question. Robert, do you know my webinar I had the other day? I went a good 30 minutes over because I was so excited. And I go down these rabbit holes, right? When it comes to Zoom.
you.
I know. It's a problem. I'm trying to work through it. It's I live alone. I talk to myself. I don't want to go back to that. But anyway, you can tell folks, hey guys, everything you put into Q&A, if I don't answer it live, I will read it in the reports and I will share it with you in one way or the other. I may share it. I may answer your question through my YouTube channel. I may answer your question through my newsletter. I may answer your question through my Instagram, but I'm going to answer your question. So that's a good way to make everyone feel important. And I love the detailed reports. You know, I'm more of a right brain girl, but I love reports. I like to know who was on the webinar, when did they sign in, you know, what were their questions, what were their answers. I love the reports. So this is, and I'm still not done. There's a whole nother chart here. You're less likely to get bombed. I didn't say you wouldn't get bombed, but you're less likely to get bombed. You can use it as a meeting. It's more, you can't, I'm not going to say you can't, but I don't really see using the webinar features in the meeting world, but I can certainly use the meeting features in the webinar world. Maybe not breakout rooms, okay? Aside from that, I love it as email reminders. Don't you love that, Robert?
Absolutely.
How many of you guys got a reminder? That is a very big deal. And sometimes, I'll admit it, I forget to set up the reminders before the Zoom webinar takes place. Like when they first added it, I would go, oh yeah, let me go in and do that. And I would forget it. So what I love is I can go into the settings like after the webinar has happened. And then, well, that wouldn't make any sense. There are email reminders, but there's also email follow-ups. And so sometimes you will forget to set up the follow-up is what I'm saying. And you can still do it even after the webinar is over. So I love that. I love that. And practice sessions. Before we came on, we were practicing, rehearsing, we're meeting with Rhett, we were kind of going through some things. And I love that. But guys, here's what I want you to hear. Practice session, make sure you enable that. Make sure you enable practice session. Can anybody tell us why? Why would you want to enable it? I'm just curious to see what everyone will say. Robert, you can't answer. Why would I say enable practice session? I'm just curious. Let me know. Come on now. I'm seeing some folks in there. Oh, Anton says practice makes perfect. Okay. Okay. Roger says stuff will go wrong. All right, Tia. So I'm still not getting the answers I'm looking for. I'm looking for some answers. It's less about practice, although it's called practice session.
Check out what Lisa says.
Yeah, it's a little bit more. What did Lisa say?
Lisa says, so people don't enter early.
Yeah, that's true. But so why don't you want people to enter early? What's going on with you?
You're like in the background doing your crazy.
Yeah, right? I'm like checking my makeup, making sure the braids are in place, you know. Putting on my, you know, putting on my lips, doing all sorts of things. You're getting your sound together, whatever.
All right. Can everybody still hear Marquessa? If Marquessa went out for you, just say sound. Okay. She's gone. Okay. Let's see if we can get her back in here in just a moment. All right. She's out. So she's probably logging on from her backup. All right. Let me stop her screen for a moment. And what I am going to do is flip over to the backup here in just a moment. All right. All right. Stay with us, people. We're not gone.
I'm here.
You're here. All right,
here.
cool.
Do you hear me?
I hear you. I was just about to pull up the backup slides. Okay.
I changed cameras.
Perfect.
Okay, what was the last thing I said? Now share, what was the last thing I said?
You were talking about the practice room, enabling the practice session. Yeah.
Nope, not webinar on demand?
We didn't hear the webinar demand thing. We heard the practice sessions. Yep.
So here's the thing with the webinar on demand. I got to stop switching cameras in between. I apologize for that. Anyway, webinar on demand is really important because oftentimes you'll send out all of these webinar announcements for all of your people, and they will not show up because it is normal for 50%, no, let me take that back, about 30 to 40% of people that register for a webinar will show up, okay? Will show up, so that's important. You can see me and hear me all right, Robert, right?
Yep, we can hear you.
So that's the first thing. Number two, I'm a little lazy. I don't know if you guys are lazy, but I'm a little, Robert, we can see your screen. I'm a little lazy. And because I'm a little lazy, I prefer to not, I forget sometimes to send out follow-up emails. All right, Robert, I'm sharing your screen. There we go. Yep. I forget to send out follow-up emails, right? And I get it like clockwork. Marquessa, I missed your webinar or I missed your presentation. Can you please send me the recording? Even if everything is planned and I'm going to send the recording, I'll still get that email. What I love about webinar on demand is your registration turns into a recording page. Did you hear me? So how many of us, I'm just curious, Robert, how many of you guys already know this? How many people already use webinar on demand? And how many people just heard about it for the first time? And how many of you heard about it, but didn't really know how to use it. Oh my gosh, we got a lot of virgins. Yes.
Oh boy. Oh boy. I don't know if I would have said it that way, but all right.
Okay. So see the deal? So now that's the purpose of it. But here's the thing. This takes me back to the practice session. Here's the challenge with the practice session. Okay, here's the deal. In order to use Webinar on Demand, you must go with your first recording. Does that make sense? So you have to automatically record. And if you know, Robert, I don't know about you, but I don't like to automatically record. I like to start my recording when I'm ready.
Yeah.
If you're going to do Webinar on Demand, guys, I do not want you to leave this webinar, go and do Webinar on Demand, and then curse me out and go, why didn't she tell me? That first recording that takes place after your practice session will be the one that will become your Webinar on Demand. So I don't want to beat it like a dead horse, but it is a beautiful thing. And if you're concerned about, well, wait a minute, if people watch the Webinar on Demand, then how will I know that they're watching it? They must submit their name and email. So they still got to give their registration information, and it will be sent to you automatically. So if Lisa Davis, she comes and she watches your Webinar on Demand, then you're like, oh, hey, Lisa, how did you like it? It gives you an instant opportunity to follow up with her. So does that sound good?
It does. So are we going to take them into this stuff? We ready, or are you waiting for your stuff to come back up?
So so you good. All right, you know me, I'm trying to multitask over here.
No worries.
So do we know the difference? So what are people saying in the chat room? I'm trying to see if they have any questions. I just went through that whole thing about the difference between the meeting and the webinar. We got it, right? We got the big differences.
Okay, somebody said, can you delete it if you don't like and start again?
Of course.
They're asking about the recordings.
Of course, yeah, you can delete it. You can delete it. You can delete it, but then you're not going to have a Webinar on Demand for that specific session. So yeah, you can delete it. You can delete it. But guys, that takes me to the next section that I want to talk about. And don't worry, Rhett did post my slides. You can look at the slides. The very first thing I said on the webinar slide was the end-to-end solution. End-to-end solution. So webinar, guys, is like a person. It's like an assistant. It will register people for your webinar, which I know you're thinking, well, request them in. So will meetings. Meetings, thank you, Rhett. Rhett just posted it, guys. So will meetings. Meetings will register your folks. However, webinar goes a little bit deeper. So not only can someone register, and I do want to show you, Robert, do you have my slides up there?
I do.
Okay, can you show them real quick?
I can.
All right, thank you, dude. My producer extraordinaire, I love it.
What you need?
All right.
Want to go next?
I want to go. So let's go to the next slide for me.
Yep.
Okay. All right, number 2. I like Zoom, but I don't get how to make money with it. Guys, this is where the Zoom webinar comes in. All right, let's go to the next one. All right, here we go. Use Zoom webinar end-to-end. All right, let's go to the next one. All right, so here's the end-to-end from idea to launch. I know me and my fellow speakers, we have ideas at the Kawazoo. All right. All right, so registration, you can fully customize it, and I'm going to show you what that looks like. And then there's a detailed registration, right? It's a presentation, one-to-many, and then you can follow up, email reminders, webinar on demand, and also follow up. So next slide, Robert, for me. So this is an example, guys, of your of what you're doing in the back end of your Zoom. But if you notice at the very top, it says schedule a webinar with the same setting. So what I love is, guys, when you set up your webinars in the back end, that's a lot of information. You got branding information, logo information, speaker pictures, bio information. I do not like to type stuff over and over again, even if I'm going to tweak it. So you want to save the setting. The reason I wanted to show you this is, do you see what's behind the Zoom Queen name? What's behind there? You see that little TV? that means that this particular webinar is a webinar on demand. That's what that TV means. Okay, I don't know if you call it a TV or something. So next slide, Robert. Yeah, that's what that means. So give me the next slide. So the next one, I should show you all the different parts. All right, so hit the next one, Robert.
Okay.
Cool. Today. Any minute.
It's coming. It's coming.
It's coming. There you go. So guys, this is the piece, and it was one before. Maybe I forgot to put it in there, but a lot of us forget that we can put our speaker information in there. Now, you may not be like I am and put a whole bunch of stuff, so I do recommend you make it a little tighter. And maybe I'm hoping Zoom folks, Zoom people, the Zoom company rather, will make it to where I can line it up a little bit more and do bullet points, right? So we got to talk to them about that. But in the meantime, you can put speaker information on there. But again, I do not want you to log into your Zoom meeting and think you can do the same thing. You cannot put speaker information in the Zoom meetings. All right, so let's go to the next screen, Robert. Tell me if this is useful, guys. Want to hear your feedback. Let me know if it's useful. All right. All right, cool. It looks like Rosemary. Thank you, Cheryl. Cheryl said absolutely. Okay, so yeah. Oh, Robert, there was a slide actually right before that. Can you go before that? Go before this slide. There was a slide right before that. Yeah, go right before that. I don't know if you see it. That has the registration on there.
Yep, I'm at the registration slide.
Okay. There's one right before it. You don't see it? All right. So then go to the next one, because this stuff takes a lot of detailed things. So go to my next slide for me real quick.
Yep, there we are.
All right. So guys, the next one is I want to show you, and I wanted to get screenshots because when you go into the back end of Zoom, we can do that as well. It takes a little bit more time, and I wanted to try to make this as tight as I could. Now, here's the deal where you have your invitations, email settings, branding, polls, Q&A, integration, and live streaming. Guys, if you're wondering why you can't live stream, you kind of got to enable it. So you got to click on there and make sure that that's enabled, but you can do that with your global settings. We talked about settings last week. Go back and watch the recording. For here, this is the piece that I love. Do you see that at the bottom where it says reminder email? And click them all, 1 hour, 1 day, 1 week before. I love it. And then you can take your mouse over to where it says edit, and you're able to actually edit the email that goes out. Follow-up email to attendees. Get this, Robert. Sometimes I'm so loony. I will forget to set this up, period. I'll forget to set it up. You can still set it up after the webinar is over. Isn't that crazy? Yep. And I believe you can go 7 days out. So you can go 7 days out. So again, you can edit the emails. All right. And then everything else is pretty much the same. Lorna, everything I'm saying you can do with the NSA accounts. Absolutely. The question was, can you do with NSA accounts? Yes. Actually, you can do more with NSA accounts than you can with regular ones. So let's be clear on that one. All right. Go to my next slide for me, Robert. You can do that. Now, this here, guys, is not necessarily unique to the webinar, but this is something that's certainly unique to the NSA world, NSA Zoom. And I think some folks are missing this. This is called an audio transcript. So if you push play up there, not right now, but you push play up there, that plays the video. And as the video is playing, the words show on the side of the screen. So if you have a podcast, this is a no-brainer. You know, if you have a podcast and you need to deliver scripts, or you're doing training, or you're meeting with clients, look at Sarah Michelle. She's like, what? Yes. If for no other reason, again, my job, NSA has not said, Marquesta, we need you to sell this. I just love NSA Zoom. To me, it's just a no-brainer, because Tia says, do you have to enable it? You do got to go in settings. I went through settings before, and Red is going to share a resource to you where I go in the back end and go through settings. I ran out of time last week. So this week I'm trying to stay on time, and Robert's making sure of it. But here, yes, you do need to enable it. So if you're going into your account and you're thinking, oh man, Well, I don't see, I can't do this. I can't do that. Thank you. Rhett just posted it. So if you go there, you will see don't do it right now, but you will see the settings. You do need to enable it in your global settings. But guys, I love the transcription. So I wanted to show you that. All right. Next slide, Robert. And Robert's like, are you ever going to come back up? Yeah, as soon as I can multitask. Absolutely. So I like Zoom, but I don't get how to leverage it for every virtual event and beyond. This is where we get kind of very, very interesting here. So, so this is point number 3. So schedule a Zoom webinar. Now this is kind of where I want to go a little bit into the back end. So take me to the next slide, Robert. When we go to the next slide, this is like an example of the Zoom back end. Do not judge my back end, all right? I like reality TV. That's all I got to say about that. And I like to talk about it. Anyway, you see, by the way, if you see, just because you log into your account and you see profile meetings, if you look into the left of the screen, you see webinars, doesn't mean you have webinars. Okay. Sometimes if you click on it, there are situations where you click on it and it will say you need to upgrade. If you have NSA, you're good. If you're paid for NSA and you still don't see it, just email them. They'll take care of it and turn you on in the back end. Okay. But give them a chance to turn it on. But I talked last week, didn't we talk about it last week, where we went through the whole process of scheduling a webinar? The goal of going here is to remind you how to do it. So again, I know because of this particular presentation, you guys are going to use webinars way more than you normally do. So I want you to go into the back end and schedule a webinar and just save it as a template, and you can use it over and over again. Oh, here's something else, Robert. You can schedule a recurring webinar. Like you see where it says pop in Zoom room.
Yep.
I live stream in my Facebook group often, and it initially Zoom would only allow you to live stream if you had a webinar account. Now they let you do it with meetings.
Right.
But back in the day when it was just webinars, I would say, well, darn, I don't feel like going to create a whole webinar. You can just set it up as recurring and you can use it at any time. So if there's a board meeting, it doesn't have to be on a certain day or a certain time. Just say recurring, and you can pop into it anytime you want. So that's kind of cool. All right. So any questions or thoughts, Robert?
Just kind of checking in. I saw a few different things. Tia was asking, most webinars are free right now. How can we get around this? I'm not clear on what she's asking. Maybe you understand a little bit differently.
Most webinars, oh, she's saying from a strategic standpoint, because you know I'm a strategy girl.
Yeah.
That's why, honestly, I'm only using the word webinar a lot because that's the name of the platform. But please be clear. I do think we hurt ourselves when we call our presentations webinars. When I say webinars, I'm referring to the platform Zoom Webinar. But just because I'm doing a presentation doesn't necessarily mean it's a webinar. So I think that hurts you. It hurts you. I don't think that I know it. Stop saying, I got a webinar I want you to say. Instead, it's a presentation. There's different types. One of, Rhett sent you a link to my online resource. There is a guide, I think it's towards the bottom of the page, that you can download, which covers virtual experiences such as workshops, retreats, seminars, conferences. Just like in person, you can do anything you want. So that's really what she means by that. So
Yes.
Yeah, there are a lot of them that are free, but what's going to make you stand apart is how you position it. Any other questions there, Robert?
Not, let me see, anything that is related. When should participants use chat versus Q&A? That's a little bit different from the back end stuff or the dashboard stuff. I don't know if you want to
say that again. I love that question, and we're going to go into the back end, but I think that's more of a, using the platform question. Guys, you want to encourage, and maybe we should have done that here. I forgot. I think you did. I don't remember. But guys, if you have questions, please, if it's a question, please put it in the Q&A section. So there's Q&A. Q&A allows us to go in and either answer it, like some questions Robert may answer directly, especially if it's something that we covered, or he may tell you back, he may reply back and say it's going to be put in our virtual parking lot, which means we'll get to it. Or he may tell me and we'll answer it live. So I would always tell my participants, I can't really watch the chat room because usually we're doing these by ourselves. So you aren't able to watch the chat room all the time. And even frankly, if you are, you still can't keep up with it. So if a person has a question, tell them to put it into the Q&A. So what makes the chat and the Q&A different, chat is just a way for you to kind of touch, feel, and exist with your audience. Q&A is so that your audience can share what their questions are and you in some form or fashion can address it. Were you going to say something, Robert?
Nope, we're good. Keep going.
Oh, good. I'm feeling, this is fun, y'all. Oh my goodness, Robert, I need an applause. I'm feeling, I need something. I need like an applause or a bruh or something while I finally bring this up after doing this 1,000 times. Okay, good. I need some love. All right, good. All right. And I'm looking for a rat here. All right. Yeah! Oh my God, Robert.
How about some more?
You do not have to do that.
How about some more?
Right. Robert, tell them how you're doing that, because I know people are wondering how are you doing those computer sounds. They really want to know.
All right. Okay.
Robert,
all right. I'm done playing. All right.
Tell people how you're doing that. It's an easy thing from sharing the screen. Share that for a real quick second for me.
Share my screen?
No, share how you're doing that.
Oh, yeah. Okay. So one of the things that you can do with Zoom and Zoom Webinar is you can share your computer sound. And what I've done is in the Hollywood, in the media industry, when there's sound effects that you need to use, there is an item known as a soundboard. And so what I've done is I've collected a lot of different sounds and put it into a soundboard online. So if you want to look up websites, online soundboard websites, then you can do that. And so I've got a lot of different sounds that I can access pretty quickly and easily. For example, I'm going to do that once more. Let's say that Marquesa tells a joke. Then I can do this. All right. Or if Marquesa is acting silly, then I can. All right. Yeah. All right. So, and then of course, because Marquesa lives in. Come on. Here we go. Yeah. All right. So I can access those sounds pretty quickly, pretty easily. All right. So they're asking some other questions in the meantime. So maybe we can answer some questions while you're getting your stuff back up.
All right. I'm ready.
Okay. Well, let's answer one while you're doing that. If the presenter is not producing the Zoom webinar, do they need to have the upgraded version of Zoom, or is the free version adequate? Okay, you've got two things on. There we go. Perfect. All right. Or is the free version adequate? So there is no free version of Zoom webinar, Rosemary. Okay, there's no free version of Zoom webinar. The only free thing that you can use from Zoom is the Zoom meeting. The Zoom webinar, you must pay. You must get the Zoom meeting first, which is $15, and then you'd have to pay an additional $40 per month on top of that to access Zoom webinar. Or you could do what we did at the beginning, or said at the beginning. You could get the Zoom package through NSA, which costs you $360 for the year. And you can get all of it, bells and whistles, everything. All right. So Marilyn's asking about the pay question. Are you ready, Marquesa? Let me know. I'll answer questions until you're back in. Marilyn's asking about the pay question. So if you're trying to integrate PayPal with your Zoom NSA account, Marilyn, it does go to NSA. All right. So I mean, I know we like NSA and all, but you probably don't want
Robert, I need you to open my video. Now, guys, this is a great example, kind of a living example. When you are the host of a webinar, and let's say that someone comes in, like I'm a panelist, it is important that Robert, and we have slides to show you how this is done, that he makes me a co-host in order for me to show my video. If he does not make me a co-host, I can't turn it on.
Yep.
Oh, you see what I mean? So yeah, so now a sign popped up that says start my video. And now, boom, video is coming up, right? Come on now, show my face. Here we go, here we go, here we go. By the way, I'm kind of upset, Robert, that, I don't know why you can't, whoa, something's going on. Something's going on. I'm just having all kind of tech problems today. What is the deal?
Well, you
now
know
my
what?
video is not working.
Let's just keep rolling. Let's just keep rolling.
So
I can share. Yep.
That is okay. Fine.
What do you want to share?
Zoom. Anyway, I can still share my screen because I have my slides right here.
Perfect.
So let me put my slides up and let me hit share. So it's okay that I can't share my face, although, you know, I went through a lot of trouble to do my makeup, so I'm offended, but that is okay. All right, so anyway, I'm gonna go here and share this particular piece. And let me see which one. All right, so I wanna go to meeting controls here. So this is your Zoom webinar control panel happening, your Zoom webinar control panel happening. And with the Zoom webinar control panel, what do you see here? Let me spotlight. When I say spotlight, I always like to say what I'm doing. In your toolbar, there's something, it looks like a pencil, and it says annotate. Click that pencil when you want someone to follow you on screen, because you're assuming that they can see what you see. So there's the microphone, the camera. We're gonna talk about all of those configurations next week, not this week, okay? What we are going to talk about is managing participants in a webinar. So please note that the webinar toolbar or control panel looks different than the meeting one. What's missing from this? Can anyone tell me what's missing from this? It actually looks pretty much like, do not answer, Robert. It pretty much looks a lot like a Zoom meeting, but there is a noticeable difference. What would that be? Let's see who's going to win the prize. I want to know. Any answers, Robert? Robert, I can't hear you.
Sorry, I was muted.
Okay. Any answers?
Let me see. Remote control. Somebody's got. 2 people have remote control. Somebody says curious chat Q&A. Somebody said, Sherry says Q&A.
Okay.
We've got 3 people. Breakout room, somebody said.
Yes.
Roger. All
yes.
right.
That's what I was looking for. Breakout rooms. That's the piece. That's the piece that I wanted you guys to hit. So yeah, there's a few things. Now, I don't want to get ahead of myself because you won't remember it, but you can do reactions in the Zoom meeting world, and you can raise your hand. Guys, do me a favor and raise your hand. Can anybody figure out how to raise your hand right now? Oh my gosh! Oh my gosh! Are they all raising? I know, I get excited about the strangest things. Are they raising their hand right now?
We have like 34 people with hands raised.
What? Oh, so that means
that
means the other people don't know how to raise their hands. Guys, look where it says participants, and you can see where you can raise your hand. So it is important to me that you raise your hand, or, you know, that's not good if you can. That means you're not learning if you can't raise your hand. So did everybody raise their hand? Good. Okay, guys, stop raising your hand. Now you're taking over my screen. Okay, good. Thank you for that, Joanne, and everything. Appreciate that. So let's go here. So now you see Robert and I here. This was us doing a little bit of rehearsal. I want to make sure that you guys understand that here you see Robert's avatar that's up here, right? With his avatar, I needed to make him a co-host in order to see his video. That becomes a big problem because you're live and you can't bring up the person's video, kind of like you can't bring up my video right now. All right, so here we go to what it looks like as a host when I'm trying to manage my participants. I have all the power in the world, Robert. Okay, I can disable talking. I can promote to panelists. I can rename, I can remove. Oh my gosh, something just came to mind. Here's the deal. When you send off a panelist invitation to someone, for your Zoom event, your Zoom webinar event. I'm trying hard not to say webinars. When you send out an invitation and it's for panelists, please put somewhere do not share. Why am I saying that, Robert?
Because people will end up as panelists who you didn't intend to be panelists and can probably be on screen.
Exactly. So we definitely want that. And I will push this over here so you guys can see my face. Not that you would miss it, but I feel so bad that you guys cannot see my face. So I'm going to show my face here. Here we go. I'm going to do it over here. Okay, start video. All right. All right. So let me move to the next thing. All right. So here, these are my controls with my participant. Unmute audio, make host, make co-host. You got to make co-host if you want the person to have similar power to you. I'm not going to say equal power, but similar power. What I love is I can change the person back into an attendee. So the attendee is what you guys are. You are attendees here. So if I wanted to promote, oh my gosh, Robert, should we promote somebody? Oh no, we don't have time. We have 8 minutes and I still got more content. Otherwise I would have done it. Sorry about that. You can forbid record, you can change role to attendee, remove, rename, put on hold, and hide non-video participants. Bottom line, you have control when you're doing a Zoom webinar. All right, I like Zoom, but I don't get how to leverage it for every virtual event and beyond, okay? So guys, give me a number. Give me a number, Robert. 5 is your highest, 1 is you have the 0 clue. So tell me how you guys feel about your knowledge about Zoom webinar based on what you've heard so far. So I need a number. Tell me what your number is. 5 means, dude, I'm smart. I can go and teach a class. Well, I wouldn't go that far, but I can go and do it. I feel good. 1 is, please, everything's a blur. I don't get it. So what we got, Robert? What do we got?
I'm seeing a lot of 3s. I see a 3.7. Somebody said nervous.
Really?
About the issues that you were having. How? So, well, the biggest thing. So here's the biggest thing that people are saying. This question has come up quite a few times. Because you had you crashed and you had the backup. A lot of people are freaking out a little bit about having to prepare a backup, and how do you do that, or how do you know what to do with all of that?
Well, first of all, let me explain something. I have a big, ginormous Mac desktop. Does anyone else have a Mac desktop on here? Anybody? Oh, whoa, I'm seeing myself somewhere. Okay.
Yeah.
Does anyone have a Mac desktop? I've had this thing
people.
for 6 years. I think I need to replace it because there's something going on with my space. And although I empty all the space, something is happening where every blue moon it crashes. So I don't know what happened because I speak all week long. This is how I back myself up in case it happens, because Robert will not always be there. So I apologize. Thank God I'm in front of my fellow speakers. But if I crash, I always have a backup. And my backup is my iPad. I log in my iPad as a co-host. So my iPad is over here. You can kind of see me. Here we go. See? Yeah, there we go. All right. So I got my iPad. Actually, let me move this over here because I need her to be in front. Since I don't have
can I pipe in there for a second, Marquesa?
Yeah, go ahead.
Just from a technical perspective, just so you're aware, especially as you're hosting webinars, the more that you are doing video, the more that you're sharing, you've got quite a few applications open on your computer. So you have Keynote or PowerPoint. No, not you personally, but you've got Keynote or PowerPoint. You've got a web browser open, you've got video open, you've got audio open. All of this stuff pulls on the resources of your computer. So if you have a computer with a smaller processor, let's talk in the Intel world at this point. If you have an i3 or an i5 processor, that you're probably it's going to pull a lot of CPU resources for that. And so the likelihood of you crashing, the more you have open, is higher. So if you have the ability to have a streaming computer where you're not doing anything else, or a computer that has an i5 or i7 processor, it's going to make it helpful for you. So best practices, if you're going to be streaming, if you're going to be running a webinar, you want to reboot your computer so it's kind of, the cache is fresh before you start streaming. If you have the ability to have Ethernet rather than Wi-Fi, do that. So as best as possible, to be prepared. Your equipment makes a bit of a difference, but there's some things that you can do to reduce some of the strain on your computer as well.
Yeah, because I don't like that. Because me personally, that's annoying. All right. So anyway, but it happens. There was some questions here that I read in here because I did tell people to put Q&A in here, and I want to make sure I get to it. Guys, we may just go by like maybe a few minutes over, but not much. So I just want to make sure, Rhett. And Red, if there's a question that's coming on Facebook, let us know as well. Lisa says my NSA account would start today and continue. Okay, can I pay it monthly? No, everything is in advance, guys. You got to do the 360. Otherwise, I would call NSA and ask them. Dick says, once again, how did Marquesa prepare a backup when she went out of the Zoom platform when she was on originally? Guys, whether it was a laptop or an iPad or even a smartphone, all I did was log in as a panelist. So I just have it up twice. And you didn't know that because I hid my video because I didn't want you to see my face twice. Does that make sense? So we can give some technical stuff later, but I have to back myself up because there's something going on with my Mac computer. It has nothing to do with Zoom. Now, I will say this, guys. One of the reasons why I must have an enterprise account is because of the Zoom recordings. They are extremely powerful. And they are in part the reason why I'm having computer issues, because early on, I would run out of space all the time. And so I would save all of these Zoom recordings on my desktop and it killed me. So if you have Pro, I'm just warning you, don't say you haven't been warned. It is a very bad thing. So just save all your recordings in storage, I think in your cloud storage. Okay. So we'll come back to the questions. Guys, here is one of the things that's really important to note. Don't sell the platform, sell the experience. And I think this goes with your question. Who was that? Gosh, I can't remember who asked that question. It may have been Lisa Tia. It was one of you guys that asked this question about, you know, monetizing. And that's a whole separate thing. You can reach out to me for a little bit more about that. But don't sell the platform. Don't tell your meeting planner, hey, you really should do Zoom unless they ask. It's more, tell me what your goal is. Like I had a chamber from out of state reach out to me and say, listen, we have 500 members, 300 to 500, I don't remember. And we need to do a networking and we want to do spotlighting. We want to have speakers and we don't want it to be a mess. Can you help us out? Now, if I had just told her, sure, Zoom is amazing. Zoom is amazing. You know, I'm Zoom queen. I love Zoom. But instead, I listened to what she needed, just like you do with your speech. I lay it out. I map it out via mind map. And then I turn around and then I sell the experience. So I'm hoping people will not leave here and go, let's do Zoom webinar, let's do Zoom meeting. The meeting planner doesn't really care. They just want to know that the experience that they're trying to put out there, that they may be accustomed to doing in person, that they can do it virtually. That helped me a great deal. And it's helped me close some pretty big deals, all right? And create additional income streams, by the way, because when you produce a Zoom event, it takes a lot of time and energy. I think it was Jason who said, I can't remember Jason's last name right now, but Jason said something, golly gee whiz, because he's a good friend of mine. And he mentioned, whoa, this was a lot of work. This was more work than when I'm in person. It's true. It can be a lot of work to produce this event. So yeah, I don't want to scare you, but that's true. So just remember, what are you selling? And this is the quick and dirty of it. Virtual meeting types. Again, go to the website that Rhett gave you from me that shows all those. There's a guide you can download that has all the meeting types, engagement choices, roles. What are the roles you're going to play? There's MC. You see Robert over there being an amazing MC. You see, sometimes you're a facilitator. Any facilitators in the house? Sometimes you are, producer, which means you're kind of doing the overall thing. And sometimes you're a speaker. One of my clients, and it's a pretty big one that a lot of you guys know of. I'm not going to say who it is, but wow. And let's just say that they're planning for all of their meetings to be virtual. And that's creating 3 income streams. And it's putting me, and the relationship is where they're asking me to talk about certain things. So not just make things happen Zoom wise, but this relationships also is going to lead to me speaking in person as well. So it's a win-win to know how to use all of these pieces. I think I skipped over this. I just want to mention this, by the way, any quick questions, Robert, or do we not have time for questions right now? Because I'm kind of at the end, and I think I asked for 10 more. I asked for 310. Seema asked, what was the link to the guide? Rhett, can you put it in there? Rhett will put it in there. Is there any questions based on what I just said, Robert? No? You're muted. You're muted.
I'm muted. Yeah, there weren't any questions based on what you were just talking about. There are a few other questions, but I don't know that we're going to be able to cover some of that information with regard to what was the question? Yeah, questions about the payment gateways and technical or tactical steps about connecting PayPal and Stripe and Square and some of those different things. What I would recommend for that, because we're doing a deep dive for a webinar right now, if you've got questions about those things, post those in the chat, post those in the Facebook group, send them to Rhett, and maybe we can do another deep dive on some other elements that we can attach to Zoom webinar or the Zoom system.
Cool.
Okay.
All right.
Rhett's posted an email in the chat about that. marketing@nsaspeaker.org.
Cool. All right. Yay. All right. So guys, what are your privileges? I like privileges, Robert. What are your privileges as a host? If you don't remember anything else, you have participants, you have a search area. Here's a search. This is big, by the way. Sometimes you're looking for a particular person, or maybe there's a guest that you did not send a panelist invitation, and you're like, how do I find them? I got like 300 people in here. At the very top of your participants, you can type in Lisa Davis or Dick Brusso, and their name will come up. So I love that. And you control everything. I think I said this, I'm just reviewing it. So what are your priorities? Guys, let me know if you're ready for your priorities. Yes or no, if you're ready for your priorities per this particular presentation. What are your priorities? Are you ready for it? Okay, so yay. So how many, and please let me know if you're gonna do these, please, because I want this information to be implemented. So set up your dashboard, okay? Schedule a webinar. Dashboard just means go in there and do the settings. Remember I talked to you about the follow-up and webinar on demand. Go and set it up in your Zoom dashboard. Schedule a webinar, implement Zoom webinar end to end. Just do it once. I get it, guys. I'm a Kajabi girl. I get it. Sometimes I like to do things off of the site. However, I always wind up going back to Zoom because I just find it to be seamless and easy. And you can always export the information and import it into your Kajabi. Practice meeting controls as well. Practice it. You'll feel a lot better with it. And have a backup like I did. So when that computer crashes, you're still good and you can move on. So you guys are Zoom stars. Robert, let's like give them music for the, well, you can't do it yet until I stop sharing my screen. That is something Zoom has to work on because only one person can share their screen. But before we do, I just wanted to show you guys this. Next week, I need you here in person. I need your camera ready. So let us know in the chat room if you're going to be here next week, same bat time, same bat station. Well, maybe not the same bat station because there's a different link. But if you're going to be here next week where I can physically see your face, Robert and I can physically see your face. Can you please put that in the chat? Request I'll be here, because it's a whole completely different experience if I can see your face. It's so awesome. But I also like sometimes to do it this way as well. Yes, good. They're coming back, Robert. Lisa says, do I need to wear my cheese head? You decide. Guys, surprise me. I dare you to show up with a virtual background. I dare you to show up that way. That would be cool. But yeah, I need you here next week. It's a different link. That's why we had to change the links out. So, and Robert will be here next week as well. So Robert, I'm going to stop sharing my screen. Can we show some love right now? And I'm still kind of going to go through some. So I stopped sharing my screen. Oh, yeah. We got all these raised hands. Yeah. Oh, good. That means they're going to be here. Marco says love. Red just put the link in there. If you're like, where's the link? Red just put it in the chat room for us.
Awesome.
So give me some music there, Robert, as we get ready to close out. I want to say some final words after you say some.
Well, my final words is, hey, sign up. Show up next week. Come on. Let's dance and let's get on out of here.
I am exhausted.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.